Hi, Chef Jesse, it's your turn.
All right, thanks, Yang. Hey, everybody, welcome to our first edition of Virtual Coffee Hour. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to bring you sticky toffee pudding, originally from England, but it's really famous all around the world, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. It's a really delicious, comforting dessert, and I think everybody will really enjoy it. So being this is our first time doing this, I want you all to bear with us through some potential technical difficulties. Hopefully, as we come back every Friday to do this, it will get better and better and more interesting with new co-hosts and wild foods you may have never tried before. Today, this is one of my very favorite desserts, and I chose it because it does bring me a lot of comfort. And so one thing is the ingredients are all very easy to purchase at Publix. And so you can order them and have them delivered. You can go to Publix if you practice your social distancing and purchase all these fine things. We've got two different types of dates over here. We've got chopped dates, and these are the most convenient you can get. It's a 10-ounce pack. We only need 8 ounces of dates, and so if you don't have a scale, you can measure this out to about 2 cups of dates. You can also get fresh medjool dates, and this is definitely an upgrade. They're a lot more expensive, but the flavor of these dates are excellent. Then let's go through the rest of our ingredients here. We've got, not on my table here, but I've got 1 cup of water that's going to go with the dates and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I've got 3/4 cup of plain sugar. I've got 1 stick of butter, room temperature, diced up. And I have 2 eggs that are shelled and at room temperature. 1½ cup of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of baking powder mixed in, and then 1/2 cup of milk. And then I'll measure out 1 teaspoon of vanilla later at the end to mix in as the final ingredient. Oh, great, you probably can hear me better now. We baked this morning, and so our ovens are hot, and so my automatic fans keep coming on behind me. But let's get into some of the techniques here. First, if you have the chopped dates, you can just throw them into the cup of water, and you want to bring that to a boil, and then you put in your teaspoon of baking soda, and you can kind of let that simmer until all the liquids are evaporated and it's heats. So let me show you this. It should look something like this. You want it to be nice and mashed up, no big chunks, because you want that to blend into your cake batter so that you get a nice, evenly distributed date flavor in there. So once you cook that, you can let that off to the side. On this side here, I've got a toffee sauce. This is 1 stick of butter, 1 cup of heavy cream, and 1 cup of brown sugar. And you mix that all together and you bring it to a boil and then simmer it until it kind of slightly thickens and becomes kind of like a caramel sauce. So this one needs to cook a little bit longer still. And so the next part of this technique is we're going to take the sugar and butter and cream it together. If you have an electric mixer, you can use that, but this technique is particularly good, and I feel like we should definitely be prepared for times without electricity. So this is a good thing to learn how to do by hand, old ways. So you can take that really soft cube butter and sugar and just mix it up with a fork. It does take a little bit of extra time, but you don't need any special equipment. Do we have anybody in the chat right now or in Zoom that's from England or any country that enjoys this dessert? Anybody want to talk about maybe experience they've had with sticky toffee pudding? No? No? Okay. How many people currently with us have been to an actual coffee hour? Yeah, okay. So this is one of our kind of classic desserts at coffee hour. I've been working for CTE and running the kitchen here for the past 7 years, and I think I worked on developing this recipe probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and we feature it at least once a year here. The recipe I originally developed was an Irish style toffee pudding. What makes it Irish is instead of just using plain butter, you can use Irish butter. And then the toffee sauce, you can also add different types of delicious flavorings like Irish whiskey. Scotland, you can add a bunch of scotch. But that is only for people that are over 21. And that is definitely an optional ingredient. All right, so you see how easy that was with the fork? You can do this with a blender, but honestly, fork works fine. As long as your butter is very, very soft, you cubed it ahead of time, it blends right in. All right, so the next step is we're gonna add an egg. We're gonna do one at a time. You can do this first one with a fork too. And then we got another one. This next one you can get your whisk, because this is where you're going to do your blending that you weren't able to do before. So you're going to whisk this all up together so it turns pale yellow. All right, so that looks good to me. All right. So the next step, we're going to get our spatula out. We're going to scrape and make sure we got all that butter and sugar mixture combined in with the eggs. We did a good job there. And now we're going to take our flour and our milk, and we're going to add it 1/3 at a time, alternating so that we get a nice batter. So this flour, I was at Publix and they didn't have any self-rising flour. If you can't find self-rising flour, you can use regular all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of baking powder added. We're going to put about 1/3 of that in there. And fold it in. Making these small amounts for me is kind of challenging because I'm used to having to do this with 300 people. All right, I'm going to do some milk. Oh, great. I promise next time we'll make sure our oven is cool enough so our automatic fans don't keep coming on. So I know that's loud. There's the milk. There's the flour. Okay. Anybody want to share a special moment that they had at coffee hour this past fall while I mix this?
Hi, Jesse. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Sure. So first question is from Tanu.
Oh, Tanu.
Asking, what is the difference when you mix it with a fork versus a whisk?
Well, if you start with the whisk, all the butter will get stuck in the whisk. And so you can switch to the whisk once you add that first egg because it softens it up. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
And the second question is from Adriana. How does it change the recipe to putting egg by egg and no, all of them at the same time?
If you put all of the eggs in at the same time, so what you're looking for when you add it one at a time, you're creating an emulsion with the butter. So you want the egg to evenly distribute into the butter mixture and to make like a smooth, kind of fatty mixture. And so if you put all the eggs at once and you whip it together, it's going to look more like cottage cheese rather than like a smooth cream. And so that'll kind of affect the final texture of the cake. Yeah.
You're supposed to put it one by one, no matter
Yeah.
how many eggs you're gonna put it in?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And you always want to incorporate each egg fully before you add the next egg. All right, so let's finish that up. The last third of the flour. Oops. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the milk.
And Chef Jessie, I have another question. So can we use a substitute of eggs? If yes, what is that? Asking from a vegan perspective.
So a vegan perspective, if you, there's a lot of products out there where you can get like it's called like an egg replacer. And so that would be the easiest or the most kind of, you get the same texture and everything out of that if you use an egg replacer. But the egg replacers are basically like a yuca or a yuca starch, usually with some other things like a tapioca starch. And so it's basically like a binder. So I know I definitely have other recipes where you can substitute like some applesauce or some like a quarter of a banana, something that's kind of starchy, maybe even like a plantain, like a half-ripe plantain. You try something like that. But even at Publix, they've got multiple versions of the egg replacer. And actually, my son is allergic to eggs, so we have a bunch of egg replacer at my house. And we really like the Bob's Red Mill brand. And it's relatively cheap. So that's what I would recommend first. Is an egg replacer. Other than that, either like applesauce and banana mixture, like a half cup. And see how that works out. You can definitely make cakes without eggs.
Gotcha. Is that possible to make your sound a little bit clear? Because it's a little bit blurred from this side. Gotcha.
Blurred. Okay. All right. So the batter's done. This is looking pretty good. It's kind of like a muffin batter. It's a little bit thicker than maybe a traditional American-style cake batter. But at this point, we're going to add in the dates, and that's going to give it a little bit more moisture. And then we're going to add the vanilla, and we'll be about done. So here we go with the dates. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So we use, in the Globe Kitchen, we always use real vanilla extract. I was just talking to Daniela earlier about in Europe how they use vanilla powder. So this recipe calls for vanilla extract. You use vanilla powder. If you're real fancy, you use some vanilla bean. Or if you want to be inexpensive, you can also use vanilla. Do you think you can smell that vanilla? Like all that?
Oh yeah.
Everybody else can smell that vanilla. Is anybody else trying to make this at home? No? So next week we're going to post our recipe with our co-hosting student group, hopefully on Wednesday, right? Yeah, so we're going to post our recipe on Wednesday next week with the hopes that any of you have time or want to buy the ingredients ahead of time and follow along with us and try to make this at home too. And if you do happen to make it at home, it'd be really awesome to tell us about your experience and how it turned out. All right, so we don't want to overmix this, but we want to have a nice even distribution of dates, and we want a nice kind of dark brown batter. Oh, excellent.
Yes, Chef Jessie, another question for you.
Okay.
So what about the ground flax to act as an emulsifier?
Flax, yeah, flax is a good emulsifier too. So yeah, chia seeds and ground flax.
Mm-hmm.
You do with that for the egg replacers, you do like probably about a teaspoon or maybe a tablespoon of that per a half cup of hot water, and you let it sit, and then it'll mix it in. So yeah, that's also a good substitute as well.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so this recipe is for 8 to 10 people. This is the size pan that I'm going to use. It's a square pan. It's about 9 inches, about 2 inches high, and it is a really good fit for the recipe. If you want to cut the recipe in half, you can get a loaf pan or muffin pans and fill it up. It'll be a little bit higher than this, but it would still work if you only have a couple people at home and you don't want to have 10 pieces of cake there. I can understand that. So this one, you can use some pan spray. We have some industrial pan spray here. It works really good. You just don't want your cake to stick. I don't imagine everybody wants to buy pan spray, and I know you have butter and flour. So to create a non-stick surface on the pan here, you just get some nice soft butter, and you spread it all around, just a tiny bit. Okay. And you go up the sides about an inch or two. You don't want like lots of butter hanging out. You want it to be really light. Then you just take about a 1/4 cup of flour, put it in there. You just create a nice barrier between the metal and your batter, and it'll be a non-stick surface, whatever type of pan you're using. Pop this out right here. All right, there we go. Batter's ready to go in. Scrape all that batter in there. All right. Just spread it out. I'm going to push a little bit extra to the corners, to the edges. You're going to put this in a preheated oven that's 350 degrees. It's going to bake about 20 minutes. You probably want to pull it out right at 20 and test it. It may take a little bit longer, kind of depending on your oven. All right, so I'm going to put it in here. And it's going to cook for 20 minutes. And then I made this one earlier. I'm going to pull it out and show you what it should look like. So when it's done cooking and you pull it out, you're going to pour your sauce all over the top, and you're just going to let it sit like this. And you're going to come along and cut it into 9 pieces. Let that toffee sauce sit in there and soak into the cut pieces for at least about a half an hour. Let me go grab a plate and I'll plate it. All right. So when you plate it, you're going to scoop it out here. Go down there. And then you're going to have your extra hot toffee sauce here. And you're going to top a little bit with toffee sauce. Yeah.
I got a lot of comments saying it looks so delicious, Chef Jesse. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you can also do a little whipped cream topping, and that really makes it nice. You can do whipped cream, you can do a little ice cream if you want. Yeah. There you go. And that's how you make sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining us today. This is definitely a fun experience for me. Definitely glad to be back in the Globe kitchen. I'm not excited about being home all day.
So I got one question.
Sure.
How do you describe the flavor since we cannot taste it in person?
Right. Yeah, so the flavor so the sauce itself is kind of like a butterscotch sauce. The toffee flavor is brown sugar and butter, so it's very rich, and the dates really lend a really delicious kind of caramel and just like a complexity to the cake. It makes the cake very moist. If you go online, you'll find many different versions of this cake and recipes online. You can also search for it under sticky date pudding. I think in Australia, that's pretty much the only way they call it. But you know, originally this is from England, and the original version didn't have any dates in it. And I think the original version is from, you know, sometime in the 70s. And so this, I guess, modern version right now incorporates the dates into it. And I think it's a great improvement on the cake, because otherwise it would just kind of be like a brown sugar molasses kind of cake with the toffee sauce. The dates really give it a really nice complex kind of molasses, vanilla, caramel flavor, which is just outstanding. Yeah. One of my favorites. It brings me much comfort.
Thank you, Chef Jesse. I got a lot of comments saying like they really want to be in person there and really have a taste on this, but unfortunately we cannot do that since the current situation. But we appreciate for your.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what we're going to post the recipes ahead of time and give you a list of ingredients. It's going to be, you know, a recipe that'll be not huge. It'll be small, and you know, people in your household should be able to eat it. So we really, you know, if you want to try it, we really encourage you to check out what we're doing, and then either try to make it while we're making it, and you can ask questions, you know, in real time, or, you know, you can make it, you know, the next week or over the weekend or whenever it is you want. But you know, all of you have the opportunity to try this.
So there's another question saying, is there any substitute for the animal-based butter?
Sure. Yeah, you can switch out. If you don't want to use butter, you can use Earth Balance. You can use margarine. You know, you can use any of those, you know, non-dairy butter products that are vegan. You know, and those are good. They have a good buttery flavor if that's the, you know, the type you get.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any recommendations for what kind of drink we should have with this dessert?
Well, I think in England they'd probably definitely have like Earl Grey or some kind of strong black tea. But I mean, also coffee. I mean, this tea is, or this dessert is pretty sweet. So I mean, a strong cup of, you know, black coffee, tea. I mean, it's just kind of a perfect companion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Yang. Thank you all for coming, and I hope to see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.